Hey Soulherder fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. I haven't said that in a while, I guess because I've been doing all of my videos basically as live streams lately. I haven't really been doing much of my traditional sort of replay style videos, but I had a really sweet match against Tron yesterday, and I thought you guys would like to see it. Tron is a really difficult matchup for us, so whenever we do get a rare victory, it's sort of a cause for celebration. My wife is in the other room making videos. This quarantine situation has been tricky. We've all been trying to, I guess, figure out how to try to keep working, try to stay in touch with everybody, and so I guess some of us do that with videos, Instagram videos, magic videos, Twitch, and anyhow, we'll eventually get through this crazy time. But for now, hopefully you guys enjoy some Soulherder content here. I've been playing the four-color version. I've always felt like the Black Splash adds, well, maybe not always, but for a long time now, I felt that the Black Splash adds some really powerful options to the deck. Assassin's Trophy, probably number one. Blows up any type of permanent, and while it's not the best in the earlier part of the game, since it does ramp the opponent with an untapped land, some decks run out of basics pretty quickly. So at a certain point, if you can recur Assassin's Trophy with Eternal Witness, it's just like blow up a permanent every turn with no drawback. It's pretty sensational. Obviously pretty good against Tron, since it can blow up their lands. Also running actually Abrupt Decay right now instead of one of the trophies. I'm running two trophies and one Abrupt Decay in the main deck. Let's Bant Snowblade is at the top of the format right now, so we really want to have a strong way to deal with Little Teferi, since that card can just be such a monster against us. Turns our counter spells off, makes it really hard to get proper value out of Ephemerate. So Abrupt Decay, just a great uncounterable answer to Teferi, and just really good removal in general. I've also got another Abrupt Decay in the sideboard. Obviously some Siege Rhinos in the main deck is another great reason to splash black. Other sideboard options I have right now are Sin Collector, Thoughtseize, and I've got Surgical Extraction. So this 7 unfortunately was a mulligan, so I'm going to go down to 6. This looks much better. We can put the Time Warp on the bottom since it's a 5-drop. Looks like my Tron opponent kept 7, so that's a bit scary. We'll just open with the Overgrown Tomb tapped and pass the turn. Opponent plays a Tower and Chromatic Sphere. Alright, Deputy is decent against Tron, but we do need to draw some lands. Let's play that Wall of Blossoms, and alright, we drew a Misty Rainforest, so we should be set on lands for next turn. Opponent plays a second Tron piece and Sylvan Scrying, so explains why they kept their 7. They're cruising to turn 3 Tron. Just like Deputy, Venser can be good in the matchup, but things might be a little slow here. To catch up, I think our best bet is to try to ramp a little bit with Uro. If we hit a white source, we can even Ephemerate Uro here. If we do hit that white source, it would be okay to use Ephemerate because we could flash in Venser to catch the rebound on our next upkeep if we use Ephemerate. So anyhow, let's get a Hallowed Fountain, get double blue online for Venser, and see what we hit with Uro. Tap my lands correctly. There we go. Oh, so we do hit a land. Unfortunately, not a white source, but it's just fine. You know, getting ahead on mana is gonna obviously be helpful. Opponent's got their 7 mana on turn 3. Let's see what they've got as a payoff. Okay, so it is Karn. It's a turn 3 Karn. Opponent could have some other goodies in hand as well, since they did keep a full hand of 7 at the beginning. So Karn's going to come down, and opponent actually chooses to make me exile something from my hand. I think the game might have just been over if they started exiling lands. Like, exile a land this turn, and then just exile another land next turn. Like, double Stone Rain, when they have Tron online, means, like, there's virtually no way that I can win. But I'm happy to take the slight misstep. I'm just going to pitch Soulherder because, as I mentioned, Deputy and Venser are particularly strong in this matchup. And I drew a 5th land right on time, which is awesome because, well, it means I can cast Venser to get the Tron, get the Karn off the table, and then we would want to sit on the Ephemerate, see what they cast with their mana, and then respond with Ephemerate. But at least we're gonna make them either recommit all their mana to the Karn, and then Ephemerate, and then maybe on the rebound we'll bounce one of their lands. But it's a start. It gives us some hope against this crazy deck. So it doesn't matter really when you cast Venser. I'm gonna do it on their draw step here. You just want to do it before their main phase, of course, because you don't want to let them get another Karn activation. So, as I mentioned, just going to bounce Karn, get that guy off the table. And if they do just recast him, I can Ephemerate Venser and just return the spell to their hand, like Karn would never hit the battlefield. Alright, so this is a really good hand out of Tron. They have a 2nd tower, which means 10 mana on turn 4. And 10 mana often means Ulamog time. Opponent does have it, and what are they going to choose to target here? Alright, again, I think this is a bit of a misstep from the opponent. If they just blew up my 2 shock lands, I think there's like 0 hope for me in this game. But they chose to go after Venser, so I get to Ephemerate right now. I could have chosen to bounce my land back to my hand with Venser. Unfortunately, that's only going to give me the rebound to bounce something else, and getting one of the Tron lands off the battlefield is not enough. We know they have a Karn in hand, and we really have to get them off of Tron mana. So, unfortunately, I have to let the Overgrown Tomb bite the dust. I'm going to bounce one of their lands. Ulamog's going to come down, but we do have a Deputy to deal with that guy. Alright, so the rebound, gonna hit Venser, gonna bounce that power plant, put them down to 3 mana next turn. Now, Eternal Witness, for those of you guys who haven't already sort of thought out what kind of line we want to do here, I obviously need another green source for Eternal Witness, but if we can hit Eternal Witness and a green source, the opponent should never be able to re-establish Tron. I can just keep bouncing their lands with Venser. For the time being, all I can do is play Deputy. Fortunately, the opponent can't really play anything that scary this turn, but we do need a really good draw next turn. Either another Ephemerate to keep bouncing their lands with Venser for the time being, or just a green source for Eternal Witness. Opponent is actually discarding the hand size, and there's a green source. So as I explained a second ago, this means the opponent's pretty much locked at this point. We're going to get back Ephemerate immediately, well, after attacking, I guess. We're going to Ephemerate Venser. Bounce that power plant back to their hand, and there's honestly nothing they can do short of like a Dismember, which I don't think Tron is on main deck, if at all. They could run Spatial Contortion, some of that removal, the colorless removal, which could sort of ruin our day if they kill Venser, if they kill Deputy, they get Ulamog back. Okay, they're going to play that power plant again, and at this point, well, they discarded Ugin, and we can just keep getting back Ephemerate, and I think the opponent sees the writing on the wall here. And yeah, they just scooped it up. So, yeah, I mean, we did need to capitalize on the opponent's a couple of small missteps. The fact that they just didn't keep Stone Raining us when they could. Karn made me exile Soulherder from my hand, and then Ulamog went after Venser. It's just like not really optimal, but we had the tools to take advantage of it. Remember, the opponent had turn 3 Tron into Karn, and then turn 4 Ulamog. Like what decks are going to beat that? I guess control decks, but even then, Ulamog is blowing up your lands, even if you counter it. So, pretty proud of the little Soulherder deck in that game. We're going to be able to get Uro online at some point since we've got our mana sorted. Things just went pretty well for us there. We drew the Eternal Witness into the forest, and yeah, nothing to complain about. All right, so let's go ahead and see how game 2 went, see what the sideboard looked like. All right, so back for game 2. take a look at the sideboard. So I think I brought in 4 cards. I think I brought in the 2 Pithing Needles, the Thoughtseize, and the Surgical Extraction. I've been enjoying Surgical Extraction so much that I actually, after this match, I went up to 2 Surgical Extractions in combination with Assassin's Trophy, which can blow up anything, including lands. Surgical Extraction can be pretty good because you just strip whatever you need to out of an opponent's deck. Against Tron, obviously, we're looking to get rid of one of their Tron lands. So I took out 1 Siege Rhino. I took out the Abrupt Decay from the main deck. There's not a lot of things in the Tron deck that are under 3 CMC. Took out 2 Wall of Blossoms because they're not really blocking anything. So an Abrupt Decay, Siege Rhino, and 2 Wall of Blossoms. Brought in 2 Pithing Needles, Thoughtseize, and Surgical Extraction. So opponent's going to be on the play this time. I'm going to keep this hand. It's got the combo of Assassin's Trophy and Surgical Extraction. Unfortunately, in order to cast Assassin's Trophy, it looks like we have to go get a basic Swamp, which is going to really slow us down from casting all of our snakes and things like Venser and Deputy of Detention. But getting Tron out of the picture with this little combo is going to give us a chance in any game against Tron. All right, opponent mulliganed to 6, while I kept 7. It was the reverse in the first game where I mulliganed to 6 and the opponent kept their 7, so pretty even. Opponent opens with Chromatic Star off of a Tron land. There's one of those snakes. Not going to be able to cast that for a little bit. Pass the turn back. They've got a Mine and expecting a Sylvan Scrying here. Maybe an Ancient Stirrings. But it looks like that's all they've got for this turn. Time Warp, pretty much the worst possible draw. We're really far away from 5 mana. But I'm just going to go ahead and blow up their land right now. I'm not going to let them get close to establishing Tron. And we can just surgically extract that right now. So yeah, get rid of all their power plants. Means that they can never hit Tron. And if we look at their hand, they've got Oblivion Stone, not too scary against us. Karn is not coming down until turn 7. Ulamog turn 10. Wormcoil turn 6. We've got a path in the deck. We've got a Deputy. We've got some ways to deal with Wormcoil. We can also just get a creature down, block, and ephemerate, like Ghost block the Wormcoil. So looks like we should be kind of smooth sailing at this point. But we just need to hit lands. The deck is pretty much stock Tron. Lists have been running Sundering Titan lately, which is really devastating against us. So you're going to want to avoid Sundering Titan or counter it or do what you have to do. Just don't get wrecked. And also Kozilek. This is kind of like an OG Eldrazi Titan, and it's a pretty powerful card. So anyhow, we got to see their hand. We got to strip their Tron land. Now we just need to draw some lands, and we should be good. Opponent ripped a tower and gets Oblivion Stone down. Again, really not concerned about Oblivion Stone. All right, so we didn't draw a land on the first draw step, didn't draw a land on the second draw step. So let's see. At this point, let's see, we started the game with 53 cards in hand. How are we at? Let's see. Didn't hit third turn, and this is the opponent's 4th turn. So we must have had 4 draws at this point, I guess. Anyhow, continue to whiff on lands. It's pretty rough. Opponent they ripped another tower. They didn't have any towers in our hand, I think, when we looked at it. It's so strange. Certain effects, like Surgical Extraction, which lets you search like the opponent's hand, it doesn't keep their hand revealed. So you just need to like take a screenshot and put it into Photoshop or Microsoft Paint or something, and then as they play them, like you can scribble them out. Thoughtseize you'd be able to see all the opponent's cards But basically, we just know that the next thing we're going to worry about is a worm coil. So we've got a little bit of time, or we had a bit of time, but we're running out because next turn they're going to be on 6 lands. Ugh. Continue to whiff on lands. So we're going to pitch Time Warp because we really don't need that. Okay, 6 lands means worm coil's coming down. Bit of a bummer. Definitely going to take at least 1 hit from that thing, I think. Okay, there it is. Okay, finally we hit a land. So 4 turns later, we get a basic island, and I think we just need to catch up on lands, honestly. Because we'd love to be able to cast like a Coatl and then start holding up Ephemerate, things like that, but gaining life is also not bad. Let's go ahead and play Oro. This guy actually was pretty clutch in game 1 also. Alright, so that's awesome. We have an Ephemerate, and Oro's going to go away, but we can flash in a Coatl next turn to catch the rebound. So let's go ahead and Ephemerate him now. Gain more life, draw another card. Ephemerate's a great one. We would have loved to hit a 5th land there, but we're right back in it now that we hit those 2 lands. Right, we know the opponent has a Karn, but I guess they didn't have a 7th land. So they needed to go with Sphere into map, getting a 7th land. They can play it now, and I guess all they can do is attack. Again, not that scary at this point. It's a 4-turn clock. That was the first turn. You can get hit 2 more times without dying. Let's go ahead and get that Coatl on the battlefield. Catch the rebound. All right, we drew a land off Coatl. Rebound, draw Astrolabe, and then for the turn we drew another land. So at this point, we need to become very aware of the fact that we have all 3 pieces necessary for the combo, with Time Warp combo. We've got Time Warp in the graveyard, Eternal Witness, and Ephemerate. For the combo to work, you need 6 lands, so you can cast Time Warp and Ephemerate each turn. 5+1. Alternatively, you can just have Soulherder out and cast Time Warp each turn and then just blink Eternal Witness with Soulherder to get back Time Warp. But in this case, it looks like we are going to have 6 lands. In all likelihood, opponent's going to slam Karn next turn, so we'll see how that goes. But we still have Ephemerate up for blocks. We have an Astrolabe we can play this turn. I'm going to go ahead and thin the deck, crack the Vista, get a Forest. We do want double green for Eternal Witness. Pithing Needle was extremely well timed. Now they do have Oblivion Stone on the battlefield, but what this means, if I name Karn here, is that in order to use Karn, they have to deal with a Pithing Needle. So they could take a whole turn off basically to crack Oblivion Stone, which means it's also going to blow up the Worm Coil engine into the little worm pieces. Opponent goes straight to combat. I'm going to set up a block and then try to Ephemerate. If this forces the opponent's hand on Oblivion Stone, I think that's kind of a win for us, because next turn I know I can cast Eternal Witness, get back Ephemerate, and yeah, I think at that point anything Karn exiles should be sort of fine for us, unless they like drew an Ugin. I guess we'll have to see how it goes. I'm going to try to Ephemerate, and it does force the opponent here. They're going to crack Oblivion Stone. I think this is a complete win for us. Like getting rid of 2 little 1-drop artifacts and a Coatl, which replaced itself. Yeah, it's going to counter Ephemerate. That's fine. But, I mean, the opponent's at 26 life. Our goal here is just to get the combo online. So, remember, they had to take their turn off to crack Oblivion Stone, so we avoided Karn for the turn. Get the Eternal Witness established. Get back Ephemerate. And yeah, we'll just pass the turn, try to protect our Eternal Witness. If the opponent does slam Karn here, we're fine, because if they try to exile Eternal Witness, we can just Ephemerate. Opponent knows I have an Ephemerate in hand. If they try to blow up a land, we can still Ephemerate and get a 6th land. So again, unless they drew Ugin, I think we should be set. Ugin or like Walking Ballista or something like that. Okay, there's Karn. They're going to not crack their Sanctum of Ugin because they're stuck on paying full price for everything. So Sanctum of Ugin is, contributing 1 mana like everything else. Like, why would the opponent crack that to get a big threat and just lose mana? That's another upside of the Assassin's Trophy surgical combo is, the opponent is much less likely to sacrifice their Sanctum of Ugin and sort of continue pushing their inevitability. Here, we just have to deal with Karn. So he's got to go for the land. As I mentioned, sort of okay. I can just go grab a land with Eternal Witness. So I'm going to get a Prismatic Vista, which will get a basic island, which basically means the game is over. Since we can, I'm going to path the lifelinker, because that just means the opponent won't go to 29. Potentially it'll be one turn less that we have to attack their life total down. All right, they get a third forest. Not going to block. They're completely tapped out, and we're just off to the races here. So for those of you unfamiliar with the Time Warp, it starts basically with getting an Ephemerate from the yard. You Ephemerate Eternal Witness to get back Time Warp, and then you cast Time Warp. And you can just repeat Ephemerate and Time Warp every single turn. Note, this is turn 9. The opponent is going to make me play out 5 or 6 turns until they kind of understand what's going on. So keep an eye on the clock. It takes me about 30 seconds to play each turn, and with 13.5 minutes, that's 27 extra turns, should be enough to win the game. Okay, so we're going to take an extra turn. We're going to loop Ephemerate and Time Warp, as I mentioned. So I'm just going to click through pretty quickly. I did play an untapped Shock there because it gives us 1 extra mana to cast this Astrolabe. So at this point, we're just trying to hit lands. Okay, we're going to grab Ephemerate, cast it, and get back Time Warp. Played an untapped Shock there. Didn't need to because I don't have any 2-drops that I can play here. We're definitely not going to cast Assassin's Trophy. But as long as we don't go to 0 life, playing an untapped Shock doesn't matter. Okay, this is the 9, 10, 11, 12, the 4th turn, I guess, since we started the combo. Drew a Knight of Autumn. Can't cast it yet, but we did, let's see. Yeah, we can't play anything yet this turn, so we have to go to the 5th turn, I guess, of the combo. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ephemerate and Time Warp. Okay, Eladamri's Call is a 2-drop. We can play that and go grab a snake or something, just so we can start attacking. All right, so I grabbed a Coatl with Eladamri's Call. Also, obviously going to draw us cards, get us closer to what's going to get us more lands, eventually cast more creatures. Time Warp, and then I guess I played out Coatl, which drew Venser. We go to the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, the 7th turn. Since the combo started and the opponent scooped, I guess they saw the writing on the wall. We're going to start playing creatures and attacking. So yeah, that was the ending of this kind of sensational match I had against Tron yesterday. The first time I think I've 2-0'd Tron in quite a while, since I've been just trying to develop Soulherder, and it's such a tough matchup. Sort of classic wins in both games. In game 1, we got a loop with Venser just bouncing their lands. And in this game, we got the actual Time Warp combo. So the only way we were able to do that this game was by using Assassin's Trophy to blow up their Urza's power plant, and then immediately surgical extract it and make the opponent play fair. And you guys saw in this game, they had to wait till turn 6 to cast Wormcoil Engine. They had to wait until turn 7 to cast Karn, and we whiffed on lands, I think, for 4 turns, and it was still fine. Anyhow, I thought it was pretty fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the link to my Patreon page. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you'd like to see some live gameplay, I do stream every Monday night, and I've been trying to do at least 1 extra day during the week. On Twitch, it's twitch.tv/merfolk_Joe. Please join me over there. Trying to build a bit of more of an audience on Twitch. Obviously, there's a lot more of you guys on YouTube since I've been doing this for years. So if you do enjoy watching some Soulherder gameplay, I'll eventually, of course, start playing some Merfolk 2 on stream. But I've just been, so excited to develop this deck. It's so much more sort of wide open for development. compared to Merfolk. Merfolk, it's basically like, do I want to play green or just mono blue? Am I going to play 16 lords or 12 lords? How many spreading seas am I going to play? It's small tweaks, but with Soulherder, there's like huge brushstrokes that are like vastly different from one build to the next. Like, what does your sideboard look like? Are you running 4 colors, 3 colors? Are you running astrolabes? Are you running 2 venters, 1 venter, 0 venters? I'm running 1 Soulherder. Some people are running 4 Soulherders. Some people are just running things like Wasteland Strangler. Some people are on 4 Eladamri's calls. The deck is just so active in the community right now with people like testing lots of different things. Recently, I've tested Panharmonicon, the new Thassa Deep Dwelling. I actually tried out Gifts Ungiven in this deck, trying to help us set up the Time Warp combo. That didn't work out so well. Panharmonicon is pretty cool, but the metagame is so fast that it can be really hard to just like tap out for like a 4-drop artifact. But yeah, anyhow, it's just very exciting, and I find it hard right now to devote any Magic time to Merfolk when Soulherder is so exciting. So apologies to you guys who are really following me for Merfolk content. I'll get back to it soon. So yeah, anyhow, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks very much, and please leave any comments, thoughts you might have down below. I'll see you next time. Bye.